as well? So are you talking about professional and specialized services? Yes. Okay. So we are working on a macro basis. We see what's included in the main estimates, the supplementary estimates. This gives us the authorities on overall. If we want a further breakdown, we can add it during the year and hope to receive the more detailed data. So very quickly, well, given that these are questions that are quite lengthy, I'm going to thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Green, for your final intervention, 2.5, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually just have a concluding question, so feel free to take your time in answering it in your best abilities. And I do want to go back to the original analysis on the carbon rebate. When you did your original analysis, you claimed that while most families would receive more from rebates than they paid into carbon pricing, those benefits would be erased once the impact on job growth and incomes was factored in. You did not, however, factor in the impacts of climate change if the tax is not implemented. Why did you choose to analyze the potential impacts on job growth, but not the potential impacts on climate change, especially given that the Canadian Climate Institute estimates that by 2030, the changing climate and extreme weather events could cost the Canadian economy $35 billion?
Thank you for the question. When we first undertook this analysis, we were bringing together two streams of our work. One was done on estimating the economic impact of carbon pricing. We had several reports over 28 through 2021. And at the same time, we were also undertaking distributional analysis of carbon pricing that didn't include the economic impacts. And so one stream was showing that there would be a negative impact on the economy, jobs and employment. And the other stream was showing that the majority of households would receive more financially than they would pay. And so we had several questions from parliamentarians and the media. How do you reconcile these two streams of analysis? And so that was the original motivation for bringing them together in our March 22 report. I would just add that we were not trying to undertake a cost-benefit analysis. Our office really, we stay away from sort of that line of inquiry. Not because it's not important, it's just that's sort of outside the scope that we view as our mandate. And we really don't want to appear as being nonpartisan by only looking at certain benefits or only certain costs, and nor do we want to be perceived as the arbiter of whether this policy should or should not be implemented. We really try to restrict the scope into that sort of financial cost lens. But we've been very clear in our reports that we are not taking into account the benefits of reducing emissions or the costs of not reducing emissions. Thank you.
And on the other, right? Okay, we'll take it.
As I say, there's no solutions in politics, only trade-offs. Mr. Halan, go ahead, please.
My question is just a clarification. Today's date, when we have all of your analysis done, this secret data that the government was hiding for $25 billion impact on the climate, on the economy, but because of conservatives' pressure, they finally released that it was a $25 billion hit to the Canadian economy and workers at the end of the day. I just wanted to get one clear answer that given all the data, all the secret information that has been finally released, your final conclusion, according to you, still stands, which your final conclusion was that given all the fiscal and economic impacts of the carbon tax scam, a majority of Canadian households are worse off. Can I just get you to confirm that one more time?
The fuel charge and the output-based pricing system, when both are included, yes, that still stands. But
perfect.
That's it.
Thank you very much. There's another portion to this that the Liberals and the NDP refuse to talk about, and that's the clean fuel regulation, or what it's better known as is carbon tax 2. We know that this will cost, on average, about $573 more When we look at that $25 billion of this secret data that this government refused to release, does that carbon tax 2, was that factored in when that $25 billion impact on the economy was released to you?
Thank you for the question. The analysis or the estimates that we received from Environment and Climate Change Canada reflected only the impact of carbon pricing in Canada and did not include the economic impact of the clean fuel regulations.
Okay, so in those, just following up on that, does that mean that it would only make things more expensive for Canadians on top of your analysis?
We prepared a report in March, in 2023, I think it was May 2023, using the estimates that that Environment and Climate Change Canada had provided us in terms of the economic impact of the clean fuel regulations.
Just a clear answer, because I have a limited amount of time. Carbon tax 2 or clean fuel standard will only make it more expensive, correct?
According to the estimates that we received, they indicated a negative economic impact and a negative impact on households' income.
Okay, so it make Canadians poorer. And there is no rebate on this carbon tax 2, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So what we can conclude is that when you factor in carbon tax scam 1 and 2, the overall analysis is that a majority of households in Canada will be worse off, correct?
Unfortunately, we haven't prepared that analysis. We've only looked at the separate impacts of carbon pricing and the clean fuel regulations.
Fair enough, but if the conclusion for carbon tax 1 is a majority of Canadians will be worse off, does that not mean that if there's a negative impact with carbon tax 2, that it would lean towards a negative impact overall? Would that be correct?
It's likely correct. However, the precise impact...
And this applies to every province, correct? Carbon tax 2 without a rebate?
The clean
including
fuel
Quebec
regulations,
and
yes,
BC?
that's correct.
That's correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that there can be some interactions with the provincial regulatory standards as well, so it may not be.
But the overall
fully...
impact would be negative. Can I just get a clear answer on that?
Sorry, I don't recall. I believe in our report we showed what the...
Mr. Giroux, you said yes. I just wanted to confirm that overall.
It's very likely yes.
It's very likely yes. Thank you very much. How much time do I have left? 40 seconds. Going back to the capital gains tax hike, one would concur once you talk to Canadians and businesses, especially small businesses, we hear a lot about how this is punishing success. Like I'll give an example of a immigrant who came here, worked their way up to, went from driving a truck, making a paycheck, to eventually buying a truck of his own and creating, success for himself, for his kids and their kids and their kids. In their words, this is punishing their success. Is that accurate for a small business like his, where if he wanted to give his business to the kids or sell it off for their kids' future, he would get less in return?
Very brief answer, please.
Well, it depends on whether it's above or below the capital gains lifetime capital gains exemption, or the inclusion rate of 50% for the first $250,000. So one would have to look at the specific of that situation.
Just a last quick question.
I'm afraid
Are
we
there
don't
any
have
other
time, Mr.
knock-on
Halan.
effects?
Sorry.
Thank you.
We're past our time already. Mr. Kuzmierczuk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to get back to the supplementary estimates, which is the reason that you're here, Mr. Giroux. And in my hometown, we proudly build the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, which qualifies for the federal rebate of up to $5,000. There was some excellent news in the budget, this budget, in terms of that particular rebate and extending it. Can you talk a little bit about that? And also the impact that we're seeing in terms of the adoption rates for electric vehicles in Canada.
So yes, there was some additional money in the budget for supplementing the program. I think it is $605 million in these supplementary estimates to make the subsidies for zero emission vehicles available to more people to meet demand, essentially. And that's a result of the fact that we have seen new zero emission vehicle registrations go from less than 20,000 in 2017 and reach almost 185,000 last year, which is expected to be even higher this year as a result of more widespread adoption of zero emission vehicles in Canada.
And I read your report where you stated that it's increased from 1% of auto sales to 10%. That is fantastic news to hear. Would you say that that federal rebate, $5,000, that applies to the Chrysler Pacifica, do you believe that that has had an impact in helping to boost sales?
I think one can safely assume that it had a very positive impact, considering that the price is also one factor, an important factor in deciding which vehicle to buy or not.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and I will now yield the floor to my colleague, Mr. Pawlowski.
You're the money guys. How much do Canadians spend yearly as a result of natural disasters, droughts, floods, hurricanes, fires?
I know a lot of numbers, but not the specific number related to natural disasters.
Can I say that it's multiple billions of dollars every year?
I think you can safely assume that for sure. Yeah.
Do you agree that most people, most climate change experts agree that those numbers are likely to increase in the future and the effects of climate change could be devastating on our economy?
I'm not a climate scientist, so what climate scientists say, I am in no position to dispute. So yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. Is carbon pricing, and again, you're economists, is carbon pricing considered to be one of the most, if not the most efficient ways of decreasing greenhouse gas emissions?
There's a widespread consensus among economists to that effect, and I agree with that.
And do you agree that the cost of that when you came up with your estimates as to the cost of carbon taxes, you did not include the price of climate change and the price that would incur as a result of failing to act on climate change?
That's also correct.
And you did not also include the benefits which occur because of the green transition, which could mean lots of jobs for ridings, because of exploration for critical minerals, for making electric batteries, electric cars. That too was not included.
As Chris Mathieu mentioned in response to a question from one of your colleagues, it's not included because we typically don't do cost-benefit analysis for the reasons he outlined. So you're right, it was not included.
Charles, if there's any more time.
Yeah, I do. I'm Mr. Giroux. In international trade agreements, we have carbon pricing built in. Did you take that into consideration in your analysis that Canada would ultimately be at stake to also build in their carbon price?
You're probably referring...
You were talking about the global issue, the global impact that you talked about earlier. That's part of our trade agreements. Is that not right?
You're right. You're probably referring to the EU border price adjustment with respect to the carbon pricing of some countries. And right. It will be coming into effect on January 1st, 2026.
So if we don't do that, there'll be a price built in. Is that correct?
That's the current plan on the European Union and member countries. Right. For some specific industries, I think it's steel, cement, and a couple of other industries.
Right. And so we're trying to increase our competitiveness. We've been quite engaged in foreign direct investment through auto sector. We've been gaining quite a bit with other sectors of the economy and other sectors of the world and other jurisdictions. And because of our carbon pricing, it's also provided an incentive for green economy. Would you say that certain provinces have built in alternate sources of energy as a result and making quite a bit of money in that clean space? Clean diesel, for example.
Just a brief answer, please.
Yes, I think we're seeing the electricity grid being decarbonized in many jurisdictions, and that's as a result of the transition to a greener economy and a less fossil fuel intensive economy.
Thank you very much. We got three different folks in on that one intervention. Mr. Giroux, Mr. Mette, and Miss Griswold, always a pleasure to have you with us. If you don't mind, just a couple of quick questions I have, very simple ones. Did I hear right Mr. Giroux, you're saying between the SUP-As and the mains, we will have at least as much as, if not more, than last year for consultant expenditures?
I may have misexplained myself or misexpressed myself. I think what I mean is that between SUPs A and B and C, we could end up at the same level of authorities as last year or even higher, but we won't know that for sure until we see SUPs Bs and Cs.
Right, and in the SUP-As, there was 1.9 billion for added interest on the debt. The mains are put together, say, January or February. Between February and then the SUPs coming out just 2 months later, like, how could you explain, like, a $1.9 billion difference in their forecast from the mains?
I think it's related to the effective interest rate on the stock of debt that turned out to be higher than expected at the time of putting together the main estimates. So you're right. It's a bit surprising, but it's not entirely surprising given it's a stock of debt of well over $1.6 billion.
But it would have been just a change of short-term debt, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's good. Wonderful. Well, thank you again. I wish you all a wonderful summer, and we'll see you back probably the second week of July for more meetings. Okay. Anyways, our witnesses, we do excuse you. Again, thanks very much. Colleagues, I have to get to a budget vote, please. We have $1,000 for meals, and then $1,700 or $750 for headsets for the main or for the supplementary estimates. We're all good with that. Thank you very much. I had a request in to release some documents from the McKinsey study. I'll read it. There was a request for the Department of Finance to release a series of written exchanges it had with us last year, part of the McKinsey study. Information that would be released includes correspondence from myself in relation to motions for the production of papers passed by the committee and emails from the committee clerk with various parliamentary liaison officers working in government finance portfolio for scheduling the appearance of officials. Our clerk, unfortunately, who's off sick today, has looked through the materials very carefully. He says there's no material that is of sensitive nature, and it does not pertain to in-camera deliberations. But he recommends we just seek committee approval to release this ATIP. I believe we should. Wonderful. Thank you very much. One last thing. On the Canada Post study, unfortunately, Mr. Backrack's not with us. We had originally X amount of hours put aside for the motion. We're not going to release that or reach that. But Mr. Backrack has requested we have a meeting Tuesday or Wednesday with our last witnesses to do that, and then turn it over to the analysts to prepare the report over the summer. So I'm just seeking everyone's approval for Mr. Backrack's proposal that we eliminate, I think it's 3 hours of the study. Wonderful. And just
sorry, can you run that by me again?
The original motion, I think, was 8 hours of study, and we're only going to reach, I think, 5 hours. We'll have 6 hours, I think 5 with the last. Right. Okay. So we'll hit the 5th hour. Mr. Backrack, it's his study. He says he's fine with that because we've used up all the witnesses who have agreed. Okay, fair enough. Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, sir. But I just have one last. Well, we're going to switch over to. Give me 2 secs. I think that's everything I needed to do. So we'll do, Wednesday is 1 hour, the final hour with Canada Post. Then we have Minister Anand on the SUP-As. Assume we're still sitting Wednesday.
You know something we don't
No,
know?
I know nothing that anyone knows. I'm pretty sure that's clear.
You know, document.
Chair, can I just raise a point of order on something?
Yeah, I was just going to get to the Indigenous, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, well I was just going to say I think we have a deadline on that of June 20th that we had given ourselves. So.
Yeah, that's what okay. I'm just going to get to that now. On the notice paper, if you recall our motion from April 10th, it was for requests for documents from all the departments for the Indigenous procurement and secondary and contracting out. And then the last line, make a necessary to conduct a longitudinal study of the matter in committee or subcommittee as long as the decision is made before Thursday, June 20th. So I'm hoping time allocation has started in C69. We'll see bells in about 10 minutes, but hopefully we can just continue through. But we can put to bed this motion on this issue. I'll go to Mr. Genuous, speak about how we'll move forward with the study from April 10th. If you wish, I'll have the clerk send out a copy of the motion, if you don't mind. It's from April 10th. Yeah. Right.
Okay, sorry. So
go ahead and speak as it's going out.
You're distributing the motion that we adopted.
That's right.
Yeah. I was just going to suggest that the language of the motion, just reviewing it, envisions that the subcommittee would meet at times when the House is not meeting. I suggest we make an exception to that, at least to allow us to have the organizing meeting take place before the end of this week, and that way we can get started on it without. We can decide how we want to proceed at that point, but rather than having an organizing committee meeting take place in the summer, I think it would maybe make more sense to just authorize that to happen this week while we're all here anyways, and I don't think there'll be that much happening towards the end of the week anyways. I'll just say from my perspective, having looked at the documents and the lack of documents, there is a real need for us to dig into this. We received virtually no information around subcontractors. There have been some more stories that came out, a piece in La Presse at the end of last week, more concerns about essentially how it looks like some folks are gaming the system, and benefits that are supposed to be flowing to Indigenous communities are rather being taken up by a small number of Ottawa-based actors under circumstances that certainly, to put it charitably, merit further investigation. So I guess my proposal is just that we do that initial organizing meeting, let's say Thursday or Friday, which I think we would have to agree to since it's a notwithstanding of the existing motion.
Yeah. I think this, Mr. Savard-Tremblay, this covers some of the things you're asking Mr. Giroux about the Indigenous contracting. I'm fine to find resources for a half hour, an hour on Wednesday. I don't want to bump Canada Post or Minister Anand, but if we could do that Wednesday or Thursday, Mr. Tremblay. Miss Atwin, you had your hand up, but you've put it down? Okay.
Yes, I was just going to speak to that, but we're good. I think I'm okay.
Mr. Savard, Mr. Savard-Tremblay?
Nous, on est d'accord avec la proposition, mais
We agree, but we would suggest that this be on a Wednesday after the committee meeting that's already on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm fine with. Mr. Savard-Tremblay suggested we continue after Miss Anand on Wednesday.
For half an hour to discuss.
Just to set up a go forward.
Sorry,
Mr. Generous suggested just a standalone meeting to set this up and get going on it. Mr. Tremblay is suggesting the time after Wednesday meeting.
You still haven't received. I haven't received the motion. Just waiting to receive
From several months ago. You have my copy.
If you can, I'd like to read it.
We have it all.
okay, Chair. So just to clarify, then you're talking about that.
Your suggestion was to do a standalone meeting later this week. I think that would be fine. I can find time. Mr. Savard-Tremblay suggested that standalone be after the Wednesday meeting when we're here anyways.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if it's
Rather than
we
on a
because it's a subcommittee, right?
Yes.
But it would be, you're saying after Wednesday, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it'd probably be easier to find resources. The subcommittee probably be easier to probably find the resources to continue on. Yeah, why don't we suspend for just 5 minutes? You guys can read the motions.
Yeah, can we get?
I have another copy there.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think it's as much as about the motion as it's about the plan forward. So if you give us about
I'll give you
a
5
couple of
minutes.
minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
if the bells start, I'll interrupt the suspension just so we get UC to continue.
Give UC now, can't we? Just to make it simpler for you? Okay.
Say 5 minutes before the vote? Wonderful. Anyways, we're back in. If you've had a chance to read, the idea is to the next Wednesday just happens to be, the idea is to, because we'll have the resources anyways, to continue. We'll end with Minister Anand, and then basically the subcommittee will start up to decide how they move forward on this. And that's what I'm looking for agreement right now. So basically, OGGO will end, adjourn, and then the subcommittee will start up. The idea of doing it on Wednesday again is we'll have the resources, a lot easier to extend for half hour, and that subcommittee will then determine how to move forward, picking a chair for the subcommittee. Hopefully it's not me, don't vote for me, and move forward from there. Yeah.
Something.
Ronald Reagan says the office seeks the man, and hopefully this office will.
Woman chair or
yes,
woman.
yes. Yeah, Mr. Schwarger?
Yeah, so it's a subcommittee, which is okay. Now, what is the, if I want to look at the output, what is the anticipated output? And I don't care about the format, who says that. What is the output of the half an hour that this subcommittee is going to meet? Is it that whether we're going to do a study or what is the output?
I think the output is the subcommittee decides how to go forward, when it will decide to meet, while choosing chair, when it will decide to meet, and go forward.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, we have to make the decision if the study will go forward first.
That is what we're doing right now, is to determine that, yes, we will create a subcommittee, and the subcommittee will go forward, and the suggestion is doing it Wednesday.
This discussion is that
We'll
we have agreed that we are moving forward. Let's do the subcommittee to put the plan. I don't think we're there yet. Okay.
Mr. Green, and then.
Yeah, I understood it to be a subcommittee planning opportunity, and I got to find out from the regular member kind of where they're at in terms of the direction of this. But I think having a planning meeting to discuss the scope of the work for the committee moving forward is one thing, but doing that to decide the future of a vote, like a substantive motion, is another.
Yes.
Yeah, so just my comment would be we have the motion that was adopted, and I think the only decision that we're talking about making is to have that meeting take place on Wednesday. In the absence of agreement to do that on Wednesday, then because of the deadline in this motion and some of the other requirements, we would have to meet at a time when the House wasn't in session. So I think the only question for us now, like on Wednesday, people can say whatever they want. I mean, my view is that there's important work to be done here, given what we've seen in the documents. But like, I think the question we're just asking is Wednesday, if there's agreement, or because of some of the other timelines in here, we're stuck showing up next week. So.
Mr. Green? Okay. I'm sorry, who? Oh, Mr. Sousa, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just trying to clarify, are we agreeing to move forward with this motion, or what are we actually asking the subcommittee to do?
The motion has been, motion has been adopted. Hold on just 2 seconds. Sorry, the motion has been adopted, so the subcommittee decision has been adopted that it would go forward. So I think the idea is to set the meeting and let the subcommittee decide going forward.
Mr. Chair? Sorry, I'm looking at the motion, Mr. Chair, and if you look at paragraph F, it says that, so the committee members will conduct an analysis of the list. So we haven't had a chance to conduct a full analysis of the list because the list is not complete. And then this is important, and decide whether it is necessary to conduct a longitudinal study of the matter in committee or subcommittee. So the decision to move forward with the longitudinal study has not been made yet by committee or subcommittee. And so the decision has not been made yet by this committee whether to pursue this study or not. And that decision is conditional on an analysis being made of the list which is not complete yet. So what I would suggest is that we actually delay this matter until the list is completed, because that decision has not been made. So what I would recommend is that, go ahead, Majid.
Well, actually, I'll.
Yeah, sorry.
I will, before we get to Majid,
His hand was up first. Jim, go ahead.
When you read like the opening paragraph in A, it does set up that is setting up the subcommittee, and that has passed.
But it has not made a decision whether to pursue this study. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's the subcommittee will pursue that. But I am reading.
We're speaking as if a decision has been made to pursue the study, and a decision has not been yet made to pursue the study because we have not yet reviewed the full list of contractors and subcontractors, which is currently unavailable. So we're missing a step here, Chair.
Yeah, I will go to Mr. Genuous, but my interpretation when reading the motion is that the motion creates a subcommittee pursuant to standing orders, subcommittee, et cetera, be established. And that's what we voted to accept. In the subcommittee, it will be composed of 7 members, et cetera, et cetera. The subcommittee would be chaired, be chosen by the committee.
What I'm saying, Mr. Oh, sorry,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the subcommittee is established by this motion passing.
But the decision has not been made to pursue the study.
And that's why I look at the subcommittee to get together to hash out.
And make that decision.
Yeah. So, Mr. Genuous?
Yeah, so, I mean, I will say that, like, the deadline to provide documents was May 20th. There has been some trickle in afterwards, right? And there's some documents that there's a lot of documents actually that just haven't been provided, but the committee also said that a decision would be made on next steps by June the 20th, and the subcommittee is not authorized to meet during times when the House is sitting unless we explicitly authorize an exemption, which is why I think we should meet on Wednesday. But to Mr. Kuzmarchuk's point, sure, like whatever he wants, if he wants to propose at that meeting or someone else wants to propose that the study not proceed, the subcommittee could take that position. I don't think it would necessarily be well received, but yeah, sure. I just the question, I guess, is that next step of so yeah.
And again, I look at it, so I'll get to Mr. Kuzmarchuk, is the subcommittee is established by the motion passing, final line in committee or subcommittee, as long as the decision is made for June 20th. Yeah, in committee or subcommittee, I would believe that it should be the subcommittee should decide whether the subcommittee and the study should move forward. Yeah, so Wednesday would be the subcommittee.
So that's what I'm saying is,
yeah.
What I'm saying is I like to be precise and accurate. And again, the conversation early on sort of seemed to suggest that a decision had been already made to pursue the study. It has not. And if you look at the motion, it clearly states that the committee should meet and make that determination. So again, let's not assume that a decision has been made. Let's review, analyze the lists, the contract list those provided, and then on Wednesday, that decision can be made then, whether to proceed.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we just have mixed signals because, okay, that's fine. I think we just have mixed signals. Mr. Kuzmarchuk, are we fine with that? I will seek time Wednesday after Minister Anand. And Mr. General.
Okay, yeah. So that's it. Subcommittee will discuss on
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it will be the subcommittee. Yeah. So the members have to decide who their members will be on the subcommittee. Perfect. Mr. Green?
I just want to make sure we're still good to go here. Notwithstanding all the discussions that have been had, there is something that I did want to move as a motion.
Can we just hold on to that for 2 seconds? I just want to put this thing to bed 100%.
Well, I thought we had.
We'll be real quick.
It's put to bed.
Yeah, we're set. Perfect. So leave it with me. We'll find time after Wednesday for a separate one. Mr. Green, go ahead and
Thank you.
fast.
That taking into consideration the House of Commons administration, my apologies, that's another time. That as per the usual practice of the House of Commons Standing Committee, the Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates shall not meet during Parliament's summer recess unless the requirements of an S-1064 of the standing orders are met.
Mr. Generous?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Green is fully within his rights to move a motion without notice during committee business. I do want to just ask, though, if that motion can be distributed for ease and convenience dans les deux langues officielles. C'est très utile pour moi.
In both official languages. That way, I can look at the English and the French version.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. Let me I wonder, Chair, if it would make sense to suspend for the vote and then come back to conclude or to continue in any event on Mr. Green's motion. That will give us both time to vote and time to have a look at it.
I think we moved to UC on how we're to deal with the.
We're going to continue 5 minutes out, so if you wish, we can continue debate on this.
The 5 minutes out, which would be until when?
Well, the vote's in 11 minutes, so we've got about
6 minutes.
Literally, yeah. We will actually we'll be done here in 7 minutes. So
okay. Do we want to have like a 2 minute suspension before? So we then.
Well, why don't we just, if you wish to, why don't we continue? You want to suspend to discuss this? Do you want to suspend?
Well, I mean,
I'm not keen on suspending and then coming back after the meeting.
Okay.
After the vote, because.
All right. Well, I will just share some reflections on the concept then in the time we have.
Sorry, I have a point of order, Mr. Lawrence.
Just for clarity, Mr. Chair, I believe that when you give UC for the bells, you can withdraw it at any time there. So.
Well, thanks. Go ahead, Mr. Jennis.
Well, okay, sure. I would let me just start by proposing one amendment that I think that will clarify one piece of the motion. I'd like to propose that we add the word "or" after the 1064. As revised, that would read, so this will be an amendment, I guess, Chair. So this would read that as per the usual practice of House of Commons standing committees, the Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates shall not meet during Parliament's summer recess unless the requirements of Standing Order 1064 or of the standing orders are met. There are various 1064 is one mechanism by which there could be the summoning of a summer meeting, but there are, I think, other standing orders or other provisions under which there could be special meetings called as well. So I think if we say, and I think S1064. The S clearly refers to standing order, so otherwise the motion would be redundant. It would be unless the requirements of Standing Order 1064 of the standing orders are met. Clearly, Standing Order 1064 is part of the standing orders. So it seems to me that having the "or" in there clarifies that if there are any standing orders that would provide for there being a summer meeting. I mean, and there are various situations that could occur. Of course, notionally, the House could even be recalled in the middle of the summer. There could be urgent legislation that is referred to this committee in the middle of the summer. And I do think.
Let me just interrupt. Just to clarify, you're saying, just for the clerk so we can keep track, unless the requirements of the 1064
or of the standing orders.
Or of the standing. Okay.
Actually,
Sorry.
can I
continue, please? Sorry.
Yeah. I'll while we're talking, Chair, I will even send that in writing to the clerk here to make it a little easier. I want to be très respectful à les deux langues. Yeah.
Can we let Mr. Jennings continue on the floor?
I do want to say I take it a bit personally that Mr. Green doesn't want us to get together in the middle of the summer for. But I like spending time with my kids at committee as well. We can do both. My kids love this. My son had a school assignment where he had to write about his favorite place to be in the world, and he chose OGGO Committee of all places. So we should all be very proud of how much he enjoys the Government Operations Committee. And it is not the cookies; it is the discussion. It's actually mainly it's the chair. He gets a sticker. Okay, the limited edition chair. Okay. Look, this is an important question in terms of the committee planning its agenda going forward, and I think we've got a lot of competing things going on as members of Parliament. We've got activities happening in our constituencies that are important, but we also have the work that happens here in Ottawa, making important decisions about issues that are in the national interest. And I know as much as my constituents enjoy seeing me at local events, they are also keen for us to spend time in Ottawa representing them, bringing the concerns they have to them in Ottawa. And I do know, I don't know if it's the same for other members, but I do find that many of my constituents are watching what happens at OGGO. I've gotten more feedback from constituents about the work of OGGO than I have on any of the other committees I've served on. So this is a much watched committee. Mr. Chair, I know sometimes we joke about people watching CPAC, just my mother and my grandmother sort of thing. But actually, the Government Operations Committee has certainly garnered a lot of interest, and I do think because of the important issues we're dealing with,